Now presenting someone who operates at the intersection of technology, media, and entrepreneurship, a multi-vertical entrepreneur and business strategist, working across blockchains, AI, and Web3 technologies.
He leads Block Intelligence, a global blockchain and AI firm, with clients across India, the Middle East, and Europe.
Beyond tech, he also manages ventures in influencer marketing, media, luxury, and hospitality, constantly turning ideas into structured system. And what makes this moment even more special, that he is one of our very own, a proud alumni of SFIT.
Get ready to explore a world where idea meets innovation and the future is being built in real time. Please put your hands together for Mr. Jetso Analin.
Hello. So it's always good to be back home, right? And today's topic, it's quite interesting because Lucid Maze. So it brings back to my exact journey what I've been going through as well. So I don't know. So it all started way back here in college itself. I don't know how many of you have this particular thought of creating something, starting something up, and getting good at career or choosing a career path, but you're still waiting for the perfect plan to happen it around. And you're still thinking that, hey, this thing would have been worked out, or, these things could have been done better. And you're still in a thinking phase. That's exactly what happened with me as well right here in SFIT way back long as well. So I was just like you guys sitting over there and thinking, what should I do right now? And how should I get into it? And what is my next step? I don't know. I mean, how many of you guys right now have the same question thinking around in your mind on your career, on your future plans, on maybe starting up something, but still confused on what it will take me to get into that particular situation or in a position. So that's where the main problem comes. And that's the main problem which I faced as well, sitting back at your position back in 2016-17. And everything started right from SFIT for me. So it was back then I was sitting and thinking, what should I do with my career? And that's when someone randomly on internet in Reddit said that, hey, there is a paper called Bitcoin. Have you heard of it? And then I was curious about it. And I started reading the paper. I started reading the white paper. So the first time I read, understood nothing. The second time I read, I still understood nothing. Okay, I still understood nothing, zero things. I went across the paper multiple times. It was written proof of concept, proof of work, everything it was written over there, consensus, X, Y, Z, security, blah, 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 blah. But nothing went into my brain. I was still confused as hell sitting over there, thinking of what to do next, or what to do, what's ahead of me. But there was something, or a voice in my background saying that, stay for a longer period of time and think of it. And that voice led me to understanding what was happening around it and thinking of, what to do next. So that's when I realized that it was my first step into the maze. Into the maze, right? So what exactly happened over there was I had no clue. As I started taking each and every step, I come across another question. And as I get new answers for that question, I am still again pulled back with another questions coming up with that. So it was never an end. It was never an end. I was not reaching the end till 2018. I was still figuring out what to do with it. And that's when I realized that, hey, That is this play. This maze doesn't have an exit. Okay. And that's when I realized that it's not always about finding an exit. It's actually being comfortable inside that maze itself. So it actually should resonate with you guys as well, wherein you guys are still figuring out things on what to do next and how to proceed with next things. But I am still in that particular maze where I am comfortably sitting and I am not worried about where the exit is. So that's when I became lucid. I don't know how many of you know the concept of lucid though, but have you heard about something called lucid dreaming? Lucid dreaming, right? Most of you must have heard about it, as a lucid dreaming or something. It's a lucid dreaming. But what exactly is that? Imagine you're in your dream, a monster is chasing you, and you're running from the monster away. You're running away from the monster, right? You're running away from the monster, you're trying to find an escape route, you're trying to get out of that dream as soon as possible because now you don't have any kind of exit from the dream. But what happens sometime inside your dream is you become aware that you are in the dream. You became aware that you control that dream. Now you're no longer afraid of that particular monster. Now you're actually curious about that monster. Now you start exploring how your dream is working. Now you go inside your dream and figure out what's happening. That's when you're becoming lucid. That's what lucid means. You're becoming aware of the situation or aware of that particular dream. And lucid maze is almost something similar what happens in your daily life. It's not about getting stuck inside that maze. The question is, are you guys aware that you are still in that maze? That's more important. So if you're aware that you are inside that particular maze, that's much more easier to figure out what to do next. So there is a moment when I became lucid, or I became aware that I am in a maze. Okay, after we started our startup way long back, and it was 2 to 3 years of non-revenue, and we were just figuring out what should we do next. What should we do next, how to find the next client and other things. And that's when we landed one of the biggest client. One of the biggest client for enterprise blockchain deployment into their own ecosystem. But at that point of time, we were a small team and we didn't had any kind of resources to handle that. I was quite afraid, I would say, to be honest. It was not easy. I was quite afraid. I was thinking on how to plot it down, how to map it down, how to get this particular project done. If it was an old me, I would have just said that I would have needed time, and probably I would have figured it out something and then approach the client again and say that okay, let's do it. But I don't know, something stuck inside that particular moment. I said yes to the client. I said yes, we'll do it. Remember, we don't have any kind of resources. Second, we don't have any kind of timeline to match theirs because their timeline was tight. And thirdly, we had to figure it out how to build it. So that's the important thing. And we took the project. We took the project not because we wanted to, just because in my mind there was a thing that let's take it, let's do it, and let's see how it works. And that's when I entered the maze again and tried to figure out what to do next. And figuring out, we came into a conclusion and we built the product for the client at a specified timeline, and then we concluded it. We delivered it successfully. It was not delivered successfully because we were smartest in the room. It was delivered because we took that work, we took that risk of entering that particular project, not knowing how we could exit it. So this is a common scenario which most of you guys might as well feel, wherein you're stuck in your career or in your particular any path. Let's say it can be in your career, it can be any kind of dumb startup idea or good startup idea or anything. but you're still trying to figure it out in a spreadsheet or a perfect plan to execute it. A perfect plan to get into that institute. A perfect plan to study all the materials for it. A perfect plan. You're waiting for the perfect plan. But the one thing which I learned in my entire career is there is no perfect plan. That's the first and foremost thing which I've learned, is there is no perfect plan. It all happens because of a reason. And if it happens because of a reason, you must be aware, you must need to be aware that it's happening for a reason, and you have to enter that particular case scenario first in order to get out of it. And to be honest, like I said earlier, there is no exit. So don't look for an exit. Once you start entering inside it, there is always a new path to get out, get into a new existing obstacles and figuring out on your own. So that's how usually it happens. So let me take back to another case scenario as well, where I was initially called by a few other colleges to teach students. Okay, so I used to teach blockchain and give them clarity. So that was my objective. So I started with one university. I thought that okay, fine, one university is fine. So I took that one step, and then again a second university called me in. They told that okay, fine, you come with us also, and you teach them blockchain. It was, I am talking about 2020, 20-ish time, before COVID and post-COVID, of course. So it soon happened that I completed around 30 plus colleges without even my knowledge. I don't know what I was exactly planning on to, but each step gave me another step, and each progress assigned me another progress to catch forward with it. So that's when I realized that it was never planned. I mean, teaching students blockchain was never planned. And that's when I realized you guys, I mean the students who were sitting over here, had the same confusion which I had way long back. Students didn't know what exactly it was, how the tech actually works, and how it is done. So they were in a state of confusion. So my job was to not clear their confusion. My job was to make them understand that, is this risk worth taking it? It's not about the confusion, it's about clarity. So my job was to give them the clarity that, are you willing to be in that particular space? So that's what I'm trying to make them aware as well. I'm trying to make them aware that you are into this surrounding, and you need to be aware that things are moving forward in a similar pattern, which is not always expected. And let me tell you, each and everything starts with a confusion. You as a student right now can have multiple confusion on your careers, on your startup ideas, on what to do next, and what to do out of college. All those are confusion. And let me tell you, each and every confusion leads to something extraordinary. Let's take an example. Internet. No one knew what internet could have become. And similarly, what happens with mobile phones as well. No one knew that mobile phone can sometimes be in your pocket, or sometimes in your hand as well. No one knew about it. So there was no clarity, only it started with the confusion, it started with the tech. Blockchain's first paper, when it came out, Satoshi Nakamoto wrote it, everyone was confused. 2008, the paper was written. For that to bring into clarity, it took some time. So nothing starts with a clarity. Everything starts with a confusion. But the thing is, are you willing to accept those particular confusion and move forward with it? So that's the main agenda. And what happens with me as well, right? So whenever I try to get into something, try to build some product, so there is no second thought in my mind. After I achieve that particular clarity, I don't think much about if the product is going to work, if it is feasible, if it is going to do good. You know what I do first? What I do first is I acquire the domain name of that particular product which I'm going to launch. Then I think about the next step on what to do next. Right now I hold multiple domains, okay? And I've carried out multiple projects. Some failed, some worked out for me. But the important step is, are you willing to take that first step and then move forward? People are afraid to take the first step itself. And that's where the maze ends for them. So in the maze, you have two options. Exactly two options. One is to go back to your old self where you think that everything is safe, or else you step in and enter that maze. And that's where the main clarity happens as well. Because once you step in, as I told you, there is no exit. So if you're looking confused on to finding the exit, like it happens in a traditional maze games, the games doesn't work over here. It's not a Harry Potter where you find the exit and take the cups and go away. No, we're not in a Harry Potter world, but in reality, the maze doesn't end. And if you became, if you're aware of it, and if you are lucid enough to understand that you're completely aware of the situation, that's when the actual game starts to change as well. And in my entire career, I've taken multiple steps without even thinking about what's going to happen next. I didn't have any kind of spreadsheet, I didn't have any kind of plans, I didn't have to scrap it out. All I had to do was first start it and then think about it. You cannot begin a journey without taking the first step. So it's always not about the journey. It's about, are you willing to become aware of yourself that you're going to take that particular confusing maze in your startup path or your career. So that's very important. And let me leave you with this one thing for you guys. So you might face multiple problems, multiple things as you take your career step or your startup ideas. Some people will say that your startup idea might not work. Your career path might not be accurate. It's not about what other people might think about you, but actually it's about what's going on in your mind. So if you're well aware that you're going to take that particular step and you're going to become a successful person later on, that's more important. So until and unless you're not willing to take any kind of measures or steps to become aware of yourself or lucid of yourself, it doesn't work in any way. So lucid maze, a beautiful concept. So if you're aware of yourself landing into that particular maze, then everything and every concept seems so seamless and so smoothing that you have to be comfortable inside it. So successful people are not the ones who do everything well, perfectly planned. Successful people are the one who were initially being confused and the one who are not willing to exit that particular maze. So that's a simple thought. And before I leave here, so I want you to understand that you take a moment and think back of yourself, what you have done and what you have in your career in the past, and whatever startup idea you might think of, just explore it. Just go forward with it. Until and unless you're not taking the first step, you're not going to achieve anything. And my career from SFIT till now has been entirely full of surprising turns and backs, and it's been a complete maze where I love to get lost. And that's how my entire career has been. So I am Jetso Analin, founder of Merkle-Bits Group, and I spent my entire career figuring out the maze. I hope you guys figure it out too. Thank you.